Hello everyone, it's day 3 of the South Central PA bike trip. I had a great night's sleep last night at this La Quinta Harrisburg airport. Like I said, for the price, I mean, you couldn't beat this place in terms of value. You know, super comfy bed, good water pressure, easy access to lots of restaurants and amenities in the area. Breakfast was solid this morning. And I would say that the theme of the past 12 hours has been me eating a lot. I had a huge dinner last night at a Mexican restaurant, and then I had a huge breakfast this morning. I don't know what it was. I was just like devouring as much food as humanly possible. So I think I am energized, ready to go today. It's about 7 o'clock. I'm up pretty early. Today I'm going to attempt to tackle 2 different trails. The first trail I'm going to do is I'm going to head about 20 minutes south of where I currently am, and I'm going to do the Northwest Lancaster County River Trail. Now this is a trail that everybody has either told me or I've read that this one gets extremely busy at times, like on nice days or on weekends. It's like good luck finding parking. Because as the name suggests, it runs along the Susquehanna River. It's supposed to be really beautiful. So that one's about 14 miles each way. So I'm going to start off doing that this morning. I'm then going to take a lunch break, probably in the town. I saw there's a little hot dog shop that I think I'm going to try to stop at. And then in the afternoon, I'm going to head on up to the Lebanon Valley Rail Trail. And I figured to do, about 15 miles each way on that one as well. When I'm done with the riding, I'm then going to head back west across the Susquehanna, more so out where I was kind of the first day. And I'm going to stay at Pine Grove Furnace State Park. Now you might say, okay, well, you've crossed Susquehanna this direction, you're going back. Like, what's the kind of larger plan here? Well, the larger plan was I made all these reservations, months ago, and then my son's soccer schedule changed, and it kind of threw everything for a loop. So tonight's place where I'm staying, probably not ideal location, but I like trying out different state parks and different campgrounds, and so this is one I've never been to, and I wanted to see it. So I'm gonna go stay there tonight, do another trail tomorrow, kind of in the general vicinity, and then the 5th day, start working my way home. So I'm gonna get loaded up, should be hopefully out of here in the next 20 minutes or so, and goal being, to be riding on the trail by 8 a.m. I'm at the Falmouth trailhead for the Northwest Lancaster County River Trail, and you can see it's a pretty nice sized parking lot, and then there's actually a second parking lot over there as well. And you notice that I am one of 3 cars here this morning, and it's a little bit before 8 a.m. So 3 things I noticed or kind of thought of as I was driving in. First thing, I saw a sign right before the trail. It said, "Welcome to Falmouth, home of the goat races," or something like that. And then on the sign it showed 2 goats kind of knocking their heads together. No idea what that means. I am super curious. I've never heard of a goat race. Second thing, like 5 minutes from here, you literally drive right past 3 Mile Island, the famous nuclear power plant out in the middle of the Susquehanna River. So that was cool to see close up. I've definitely seen it from kind of afar, but you're like right next to it as you drive in. And then the third thing is that I was reading as I was eating my breakfast and drinking my coffee this morning that we are getting a lot of smoke today and tomorrow from these big wildfires up in Canada. And while I can't really notice it, in the sky at all, blue skies, no clouds at all right now, you can definitely catch wafts of it, from a smell perspective. And I know, like yesterday, I definitely felt a little bit congested at the end of the day, and I wonder if that, maybe had some effect, all that smoke in the air. But again, this morning I can definitely smell it, so I'll be curious to see how that kind of affects things. So like you said, I'm gonna go ahead, hop on the trail here. It's about 14 miles down to Columbia where it ends, and then I'll turn around and 14 miles back up and then get in the car, find a place for lunch. Though I'm actually thinking now, based on my start time, that my original plan for lunch might be a wash. But I'll find something, and then from there, head on up for another trail later on today. So the trail, at least here at the beginning, this nice paved asphalt. And then a nice manicured little garden over here off to the side. It says Falmouth Forest Garden. Real pretty. First couple miles here have remained paved. This is the second of these kind of little bridges that I've gone over. We got rail lines on the one side, a little kind of drainage area down below, and then there's the river. So you can kind of see the river through the vegetation, but it's not like you're like right on the river. And just went past a bunch of kind of heavy industry on the other side that you could see back that way. Nice pretty opening up on the river. And it's interesting because you got this little embankment, nice bench. And on the other side you got rail line. And then you got this like beautiful house right there, which usually you don't have, frankly, houses of that magnitude right on a rail line. But this is the case. Pretty little pavilion and small parking area, around 1.5 miles. I don't know what the heck this is all about. This is not a sanctuary county. Back up the trail. And I've seen more repair stations and air stations between yesterday and today than I think I've ever seen on all the trails that I've ever done, like near Pittsburgh. So that's a nice extra. So far this trail really reminds me a lot of the Moraine State Park bike trail, kind of out by Pittsburgh, in the sense that like you're always close to water. Like there's the river and you got a nice little binocular picnic table setup, and it's paved, but you tend to kind of like dip and dive kind of through wood, so you're in the shade almost the entire time, and then every once in a while you'll pop out into some sunlight in fields like this. But for the most part it's a mostly wooded trail, at least the first few miles here. Alright, so this is pretty darn cool, the Shocks Mill Bridge River Walkway. And you kind of come down here on the trail and you pop out from the woods and you're looking up at that. Absolutely beautiful. It's like 2 minutes from the bridge. Another nice riverside park area, playgrounds for the kids, big kind of common green area, huge covered pavilion, porta-johns, repair stations, extra overflow lot. This is nice. This is real nice. Near Marietta, PA, which I guess is a decent sized town, and you got signage like this that kind of tells you where everything's located, different points of interest, which is great. This trail access seems to be blocked, but I'm assuming there's maybe another one shortly up the trail here. Haven't seen the river in a while, so the ride's been a little bit more boring of late, but really nice, you know, running real fast, about as easy as can be. Well, right now where I'm staying, I'm getting eaten alive by mosquitoes though, so I'm going to keep moving. Well, you come away from the river here in Marietta, and you cross the train tracks, and then it looks like you kind of then skirt the edge of the town up here. Some beautiful homes right next to the trail. Marietta. Like you said, it's kind of, you're going right along the edge of the town, but you're still on a nice paved bike trail, and I'll take it. You know, I like trails like this that are varied, you know, in terms of what you're looking at. And like I said, back in the woods there, I mean, I was just getting pelted by mosquitoes. I probably got bit on my legs like 4 or 5 times, and I'm just itching like crazy now. There's been some really cool stuff here along this last stretch of the trail just north of Columbia, PA. There's a nice bridge crossing. You saw some ruins kind of out in the woods. And then now you got this, oh, you got some neat cliff faces. But then you got this like neat little tunnel kind of carved out of what just appears to be like solid mountainside. And I haven't been able to tape much because I'd say in this past, 2 or 3 miles, there's been a lot of people on the trail. So I usually try to, avoid taping when there's other people around. So I'll try to get some of that stuff on the way back. So I'm at the far southern trailhead parking lot. There's actually 2 signs right down at the entrance to it. So it's clearly marked that this is fine for river trail parking. And there's a decent amount of spots, not a ton, but you probably got like, I don't know, 30 spots or so here. And then right next door over this way, there's like an ice cream coffee shop. So if that's your thing, if you like having some ice cream when you're out on the trail, you got an option there. Right here though is a super busy road crossing. Like, I'm talking trucks galore barreling through. Like I said, I drove right through this main area here yesterday, and I was actually surprised with how heavy the traffic was being right next to the trail. So the trail overall is beautiful. It's top notch. It's super easy to ride, has a variety of stuff and experiences. But this last little bit is definitely a safety concern, especially if you're with small children or you get nervous about doing crossings like that. If that's the case, I would just park at one of the more northern spots and don't even cross here. Just stop and turn back around. So I'm gonna head back north and maybe try to get a few videos of stuff that I missed on the way south. So there's not much left of it, but this is the last remnant of something called the Henry Clay Furnace, which the placard says was built in 1845. And it was an old, iron furnace, which is super typical in this part of the country. And, well into Ohio, I've came across a ton of them just kind of out in the woods like this. And one thing that's pretty common with a lot of them that it referenced was on the other side of the trail here, and it's now overgrown with vegetation. There used to be a canal that would come up from the Susquehanna to deliver coal for the furnace. And then they would ship, the end product back down that direction as well. So really cool. So it was built in 1845, and then the rail line was put in here in 1850. And you got these kind of cliff faces that run along the stretch of the trail up here in the woods. And these are even more impressive than the ones yesterday on the Enola low-grade trail. Though no rock climbers on these ones. Pretty bridge. No idea what it's called. Some old elevated railroad piers right on the edge of the forest as you come back into Marietta. Really cute, quaint little historic town. As I showed that area before, but a lot of kind of old, preserved or restored architecture. Really pretty area. I just finished up the Northwest Lancaster River Trail. It's about 10:30 a.m., 28 miles round trip. You see it's still not overly crowded, though the trail's getting a lot more crowded for sure. I was kind of dodging a lot of people at the end here. So I'm gonna head in the direction of the Lebanon Valley Trail and get lunch somewhere. The place I originally had just kind of scoped out doesn't open till 11, so I'm not sure if I will stop there or not, but I definitely need some food. I did not really take any breaks on that 28 miles, and I think a lot of that was just I was food motivated and just wanted to get something to eat. So I'm gonna go find somewhere that is open. Lunch at Stumpy's hot dog shop in Elizabethtown, PA. So $10 gets you a Chicago hot dog and an awesome looking thing of fresh cut fries. So I'm gonna enjoy this, then jump on the road for, I don't know, 10 minutes up to the Lebanon Valley Trail. Alright, so I finished up lunch at Stumpy's hot dog shop in Elizabethtown, and it was awesome. Both the dog and the fries, excellent for the price. And so I'm now at the lawn trailhead for the Lebanon Valley Rail Trail. And it was kind of unclear to me. There's a lot of things unclear to me about this trail, kind of in doing planning. First of all, this looks like one of these trails that as it gets toward Lebanon kind of fragments, you know, and there's some different kind of unfinished parts, and then, you know, some road riding and whatnot. So my plan is to basically ride like 15 miles ish, maybe in that direction, basically up near Lebanon, where it then runs into roads, and then stop at that point, turn around. So I'm not going to be doing some of those fragment parts up north. I then plan on kind of riding back here, and then the trail keeps going past for probably another mile or two, but then the trail basically becomes another trail called like the Conawago Trail. And so it's unclear to me if that's going to be, you know, signed well, if there's actually a difference in the trail, or if it's pretty much the exact same thing. But just because I need to limit it in terms of time and miles, I figure I'll just go down. Once I hit that point, I'll turn back around and then eventually come back to the car here. So this trail, you know, it's frankly one of the trails that got me thinking about doing this whole trip in the first place. I'd been out in Lebanon back in December for a soccer event for my son, and we had driven through Mount Gretna, and I was like, oh man, this is a really pretty area. And then I noticed that this trail actually has a spur trail that goes kind of down into Mount Gretna. So I'm going to try to maybe do that also today, but we'll kind of see, you know, how I'm feeling at that juncture. So let's get the bike off the car and get rolling. So right at that lawn playground park where I had started, there was a mile marker that said mile 2. So my approximation there seemed to be pretty accurate. So I don't think, but I don't know, but I don't think there's a parking lot at the southern edge of the trail, since it basically runs into another one. So this is the surface, very similar to the Enola low grade trail. It's like that crushed small pebble kind of thing going on. And now we're heading into some kind of shaded wooded area. So just in this first like 2 miles or so, there's a lot of storm damage to the trail, like a lot of mud and whatnot, a lot of like little ruts and things that I'm like constantly swerving around. And then you get to this very busy road crossing at North 117. Now the silver lining to this is I noticed just beyond these bushes is an ice cream shop. So if you're somebody that's into ice cream shops, especially at the tail end of a ride, you could start down at Lawn, go all the way up, come back, hit up this ice cream then to kind of reward yourself on a hot summer day. The trail quality from a surface perspective has definitely improved again, but every once in a while you hit kind of these big stones, or you hit something where, you know, the surface is a lot softer and kind of beach-like. So
you know, I feel like this is one where you can't really zone out. You have to pay attention. And I feel like for the most part I've been going up, though the second I say that it appears I level out. But I've definitely been plodding along slowly here. I don't know if it's just the way the lunch is sitting in the belly and being digested, or if the legs are just getting tired after a few days of riding. But yeah, I'm definitely going slow. Definitely going slow. And so far, nothing really to look at whatsoever, just in this kind of tunnel of green. Neat little historical placard here talking about how there was a mainline railroad that ran through here, but also a more narrow gauge railroad that basically just kind of catered to the ultra rich patrons of the Mount Gretna area and would bring them up to like a private rifle range and, you know, some other location for 10 to 25 cents. So definitely an interesting history in this area for sure. The marker is that low gauge rail line is now the spur trail down to Mount Gretna. So we'll try to hit that up on the way back. And then there was a sign there also that said that for like the next half mile or so, you share the trail with like private residence traffic. And so the surface has basically become like a gravel road. So, you know, a very thin tire should not probably come up this. You know, again, I have a gravel setup and I'm okay. But anything that's like a really narrow road bike, I would not take on this. So I'm at a busy road crossing here. I think I'm right around mile 7. And there's a map posted here that's better than any map I saw online. But it kind of shows down here, I started at Lawn. There's actually another trailhead at mile 1. Eckerd Road, so I could have started a little bit farther south, but again, there's no parking lot at the actual trail head or the beginning of the trail where it runs into the Conewago Recreation Trail, which then goes for 5 more miles. And then you can see as we kind of get up here, there's another spur. You get up to Lebanon at mile 15, and then it goes on road, then there's more trail, then there's basically nothing for a few miles, then there's like another 2 miles up there, and then nothing. So it's obviously a work in progress. As I mentioned, I'm only going to do up to mile 15 and then go back, do the Mount Gretna spur, and then go down to the beginning where it comes together with the Conewago, and then back to my car at Lawn. So it should be 30 miles, you know, plus minus maybe another mile altogether. So is it the entire trail? Technically not. But is it the, you know, part of it that most people are going to do? Probably. So I was slogging uphill until about mile 8, and then all of a sudden I just started going down, and it has been nice because I barely have to pedal. It's like I pedal a little bit, then I coast, then I pedal a little bit, then I coast. But this is really gonna stink coming back because this is a really pronounced gradient consistently, and who knows how long this is gonna go. But there's definitely kind of a peak back there right around mile 8. Another thing I've noticed is that there's definitely a lot of horse poop off the side of the trail, and there's these yellow signs that say horses keep off gravel. So there's must be some kind of dual use here with horses, you know, following the same route. And you got this pretty busy road that runs parallel much of the way. So even when you don't see it, a lot of times you hear it, but not really anything to look at. It's been a fairly disappointing ride thus far in terms of scenery, and I'm hoping that it livens up a bit.
So right past that last video where I ended, all of a sudden there's a sign that said no horses allowed beyond this point, and the trail switched to some asphalt, and then it comes out here to like the entrance of a nice patio home community and a nice little parking lot. So this is Alden Way parking lot. All right. Well, I finally finished kind of going downhill. That was really nice while it lasted. And again, the trail's still about mostly asphalt here at this point. And this bridge here is probably the nicest thing I've seen thus far on the trail, as we kind of pop out into what I think is what does it say over there? Cornwall? It's an elementary school across the street, Cornwall Elementary School. So I've seen a few professionals wearing their work clothes, you know, kind of walking here during their lunch break. Huge parking lot here in Cornwall. And there's like some massive barrel in the middle of it. So I'll have to see if I can get a video of that on the way back. So I've officially hit the end of the existing Lebanon Valley rail trail here. Literally there's a sign that says end of trail where you come to Cumberland Street, which is a very busy street. And I haven't really taped much from the past 2 miles as you come into Lebanon, because it gets really busy. Like when I say really busy, you got people on the trail, you got a ton of road crossings. It would just be, you know, frankly too dangerous for me to get much footage. So I'll try to get a little bit on the way back now that I kind of have the lay of it. But just know that it pretty much becomes like an urban trail. Not that Lebanon, PA is an urban environment. My dad used to work here back in the 1970s. He used to always joke that Lebanon, Pennsylvania, they rolled up the sidewalks at 8 p.m. on a Friday night. But I get the feeling that, you know, this area is growing. Like you see a lot of new construction on the outskirts, some really nice home plans, definite some show of wealth. But then right here where this trail ends is not really one of them. There's a nice little playground here, but not much other signs of influx of money. So I'm going to turn around, find a bench to stop and take a break, maybe get a little bit of footage here. So you figure I got something like 13 miles back to the car, 2 miles past that to the other trailhead, and then 2 miles back to the car again. So I'm probably looking at about 17 miles still to go. This is the kind of road crossing you got. 8th Street, trailhead in Lebanon. Nice big parking lot, very underused. And then they're doing road work up here that makes a tough crossing even tougher. Had a run-in with a potential junkie a little back behind me. Very interesting. So what I was saying before is that the vibe of the trail changes big time when you kind of get down into Lebanon. That very end of the trail, like mile 15, is sketchy. It does not give the vibe of the nicest area. I saw a family near that playground, and the mom was loudly swearing at her young child. Then I went up past what maybe was a junkie. I'm not gonna, I guess, make too much judgment there, but and he started yelling who knows what, and I'm not sure at who in particular. And then you had all the busy road crossings, and then all of a sudden it got really nice. You had all these new home plans, and now we're back into this. Here's that big barrel in Cornwall that I mentioned on the way out. Not sure what the purpose is. Kind of cool.
Whew! Just finished that tough, sustained climb out of, what was it called again? Cornwall or whatever, wherever I was with the barrel. Again, it's a few miles, just kind of sustained up. And it's fun going down, but not fun going up it. And now that I've kind of reached the top, now I'm starting to trend downhill, you know, in the other direction toward Mount Gretna. So this is a nice reward, because now I can probably coast. Like right now I'm not pedaling at all, and I'm moving fine. Finished coasting down that nice stretch, and now I'm at the Mount Gretna spur. So I'm gonna go down there and check that out. Okay, so the Mount Gretna spur is super short, goes downhill, and it brings you to this well-trafficked road. And there's a sign that says if you want to go to the lake and beach, you go that way. If you want to go to the village, you go straight down. I'm not doing either. That's a big hill down. I've seen Mount Gretna before. I'm just not doing it. Coming up on the lawn trailhead that I parked at. So I figure I got 2 miles past here, and then I'll turn around 2 miles back. So this is the most southern, or I guess western, parking lot on the trail at Eckert Road, so right around mile 1. And it is small. I mean, you can only fit a few cars in here, and it's like very, very narrow, and the trail's like right here. I mean, it's not even labeled in Google Maps. I double checked. I'm like, why didn't I park here? And it's because it's not even in Google Maps. So it's up to you. You know, again, if you're like me and you tend to like to start at the end of one trailhead or trail end, this is it. But that fawn lot is in, or not fawn, lawn lot is in Google Maps, easily marked, easy to find. Officially made it to the end, and there is not just one sign, but 2 signs that show where the Lebanon Valley Rail Trail starts and ends, and where the Conewago Trail starts and ends. And it says here that it basically corresponds with the county line. So that seems to be the case with a lot of trails, and quality of trails is like it might be handled by a municipality basis. So I'm gonna turn around, do these last 2 miles back, load up the car, and then head out to Pine Grove Furnace State Park.
Now, there are some hummus, but just straight hummus. No, there's some.
So I ate dinner at Cold Springs Inn and Brewing Company, and it's literally halfway between here and the campground, or between the trail and the campground. Food menu was limited on Tuesdays. I just got some wings. They were fine, not good, not bad, just kind of normal wings. And then I got a flight of beer, and then I got a normal sized beer, and my total was about 30 bucks. So I would say a little bit overpriced, but you're basically paying for that beautiful seating outside looking down on the creek. Really, really pretty, like to the point where I was sitting there kind of half falling asleep. So I'm gonna head on over to the campground. I got about a half an hour drive, get set up. Just arrived at Pine Grove Furnace State Park, and as you come into the campground, one of the first things that you probably should do is right off to the right here, there's a firewood shed, and it's $5 a bundle. And just to show you the system, if you were staying here, it's $5 for one of those, though they don't seem to be even whatsoever. And you just put your money in there. So, guess it works. I got myself 2 bundles for the night. Gonna go set up the campsite. All right, it's about 6:30. I've settled in here at Pine Grove Furnace State Park. All the camp chores done, showered. You know, everything's ready to go just to kind of chill from this point out. Now, a few things about Pine Grove Furnace State Park in case you're ever planning on staying here. So first of all, this site is not the greatest site. I did not pick well, in part because I did not understand how insanely close the road was to my site. So when I look at the campground map, here's the road. I'm site 24. It is literally right behind me, as is the case with all these sites right along this way. And I think there's one coming. These cars come flying. And of course it's every big truck and motorcycle imaginable. So I would not recommend staying where I am. I would not stay 28, 25, 24, you know, anywhere along here, because you are right on the road. Even these ones are probably, you know, 32 and 31 are probably right on the road. Now driving in, some ones that looked really nice, you can hear another one blow by, was these ones down here, 71, 72, 74, 17, even maybe 19. And I remember looking at those, but I was afraid that, oh, well, if there's a lot of hiking traffic that, you know, I'd have people walking past my campsite all night. Well, again, this is far worse. But I opted for this one in part because this had a tent pad and many didn't. And I like having a tent pad. It makes setting up a little bit easier. So it is a nice tent pad. It would be a nice site if it wasn't for the road. And right now it just seems like there's constant traffic. So it's very spacious. I got, you know, my picnic table here. I got my fire going here. Campground road's right there in the car. So I mean, I'm assuming that this will be a little bit better at night from a noise standpoint, but not ideal. Second thing that's not ideal is that they have this really nice new shower house kind of down the way. And I mean, it's one of the nicer ones I've been in a state park. But the problem is when you go in the shower, there's a button, and you have to basically hold down that button for water to come out whatsoever. So what should, you know, be a 5-minute shower takes twice as long because you're holding the button and then you're letting go of the button, the suds up. Then you got to hold down the button again, and it took forever in order for the water to get warm in the first place. And it was just, you know, I don't know. It wasn't ideal. And then the third thing is of course, I have T-Mobile internet. I have no service here whatsoever. No data, no phone, no text, nothing. And I was talking to a guy a little bit down the road on the way back from the shower, and he had this like Wi-Fi extender thing from his RV. And he said with that, they could somehow pull, you know, being able to do text messages and make a phone call, but they still couldn't like browse the internet or anything. So just know if you come to this campground, you're basically in an internet dead zone. So those of you that have been watching the videos real time as I've been posting them, I'm not going to be able to, you know, I'm basically going to be behind a little bit. And I might be behind tomorrow too, because I'm not sure if I got internet tomorrow either. So in terms of tonight's activities, like I said, it's about 6:30. I figure I'm just going to kind of chill here. I might eat a decent amount of snacks because I'm still pretty hungry, even after I've been like eating nonstop all day long, but I'm definitely still kind of hungry. Mileage today ended up being about 58.2 miles altogether. You know, and I felt like this morning's trail was great. I thought the afternoon trail was just, just so-so. You know, if I had to rank the 4 that I've done so far, I'd put this morning's trail, Northwest Lancaster Trail, number 1. I'd put the Enola Low Grade Trail, number 2. I put the Cumberland Valley Trail number 3, and I put the Lebanon Valley Trail number 4. I mean, it was just, there wasn't much there. I mean, it was an up for a while, you know, and a hard slog, and then you coasted down, and then a hard slog back up, and then you coasted down, and that's all it really was. So not much in the way of scenery, you know, nothing to really do. So anyway, I'm gonna just kind of chill, maybe read a little bit. I brought a book with me, and then probably turn in early, and then tomorrow get up and head down to York. So doing the York Heritage Trail to the Maryland line tomorrow.